How do you define energy? Energy is the ability to be very active or do lot of work without getting tired. What are the different forms of energy? There are different forms of energy like potential energy, kinetic energy, thermal energy, sound energy, chemical energy, mechanical energy, etc. If you observe this picture, we can see ice at room temperature melts into water, so the solid gets converted into liquid state. And if we apply heat to this liquid, then the liquid is going to get converted into gaseous state, that is steam or water vapor. You can say basically here change in energy is taking place, and that is why the state of the matter is also changing. The other example is of dry cell. In dry cell, the chemical energy gets converted into electrical energy. Next example is the electroplating. So when electroplating of metal takes place, the electrical energy gets converted into chemical energy. So from the above three examples, you must have noticed that change in energy takes place, or you can say energy is transformed from one form to another. Let us study one more example about conversion of energy. At the top of the dam, water is stored in a reservoir. So here, because of height, the water there in the dam is going to have potential energy. We know potential energy is the energy due to the height. Now, kinetic energy here is going to be negligible. Kinetic energy is the energy when the object is in motion. So now when the water starts falling off the reservoir, the potential energy is now going to get converted into kinetic energy. So potential energy was the energy because the water was at the height stored in the reservoir, and that potential energy gets converted into kinetic energy when the water starts flowing out of that reservoir. So in this chapter, chemical thermodynamics, we are going to study the energy changes in physical and chemical transformations. It is going to give us information regarding the mechanisms with which the transformation takes place, also the rate of physical and chemical processes. Now we shall study about the terms used in thermodynamics. First, we are going to study about system and surrounding. Consider this box here. If you want to carry out the detailed study about this box, then it is called as system, and the part outside the system is called as the surrounding. So how are you going to define system and surrounding? So system is defined as a part of universe under thermodynamic investigation, and all the part of universe outside the system is called as surrounding. Let us take an example to understand system and surrounding. So here we consider a gas which is enclosed in a beaker, and we also have a movable piston placed inside the beaker. If we keep a weight of some mass, there is a probability that the piston is going to move in a downward position, but at the same time the gas is also going to apply pressure onto the piston. So in this case, the gas on which the study is done is called as system, and everything outside the beaker is called as the surrounding. And hence we say that the universe is made up of system and surrounding. Now we shall study about the types of systems. There are three types of systems: open system, closed system, and isolated system. Let us study one by one in detail. First is the open system. So open system exchanges both energy and matter with the surrounding. Let us look at one example. Imagine you have a cup filled with hot coffee and you keep that cup in your room. What will be your observation? The hot coffee after some time is going to become cold. Now what is the reason for that? The heat that was present is going to go in the surrounding. Also, water vapors will be released into the surrounding. So according to the definition of open system, that is, it exchanges both energy and matter with the surrounding. So in this case of coffee cup, matter was the water vapors. So from liquid it got converted to gaseous state. Okay, and change in energy was what? The heat getting released into the surrounding, because of which the coffee became cold. Second is the closed system. It is the system that exchanges energy but not the matter with the surrounding. Now you take the same cup with hot coffee in. The only difference is now you're going to cover that hot coffee with the help of a saucer. So now what is going to happen? Now also the coffee is going to become cold. The heat is going to be released in the surrounding. The water vapors that will be coming out, will they be able to escape in the surrounding? Of course not. The saucer is going to block the water vapors from moving into the surrounding. So again, by the process of condensation, they will move back into the coffee. So here, closed system is a system that exchanges energy and not matter with the surrounding. So here again, energy was the heat, because of which the coffee became cold, and not the matter. So matter was the water vapors which were not able to escape outside the cup because of the saucer. The next system is isolated system. It is the system that does not allow exchange of energy as well as matter with the surrounding. Let us now study an example of isolated system. If you take the hot coffee and put it into thermoflask, then we know that hot coffee is going to remain hot for a longer period of time, because the thermoflask has insulating material inside which is not going to allow the heat to pass out, neither to come inside. So here the energy, which is the heat, is not going to go in the surrounding. That is why there is no exchange of energy. And when it comes to matter, the water vapors that are going to come out, of course, because the lid is going to be sealed, they won't be able to escape out in the surroundings, so they will condense back into the coffee. So thermoflask is an example of an isolated system. System has two properties: extensive property and intensive property. First we shall study about the extensive property. Extensive property is the property which depends upon the amount of mass present in the system. So for example, if I take a beaker filled with water, say the mass of that water is about 500 grams. If I add another 500 grams, then of course the mass is going to increase, that is 100 grams. So the water in the beaker is acting as the system, and when I added more water, the amount changed, right? So here the property depends upon the amount of mass that is present in the system. Some of the examples of extensive property are mass, volume, internal energy, heat capacity, and number of moles. Intensive property is a property which is independent of amount of matter present in the system. For example, if we take a beaker filled with water, now again imagine that the water is 500 grams and say the temperature is about 25 degrees Celsius. If I add more water in the beaker, the temperature is going to be same, that is 25 degrees Celsius. So even after the amount getting increased, the temperature is not changing. Hence it is independent of amount of matter that is present in the system. And some examples of intensive properties are pressure, temperature, surface tension, boiling point, melting point, viscosity, and specific heat. Now we need to study what are state functions. So observe this diagram carefully. We are going to consider a gas which is enclosed in a cylinder with a movable piston. Fine. So now this is going to be our initial state or the starting point. So here, say the gas is going to have a pressure of 1 bar. So it is represented by P1. Take the volume as 1 dm cube, which is represented by V1. The temperature will be 300 Kelvin, which is represented by T1, and N is the number of moles of gas. This is the initial state, that is why we are using that subscript 1 for all the properties. So now we have defined all the properties with specific values. So all these properties here are state functions. What if I change the initial state? What I mean to say is, if I apply more pressure, so say now I am increasing the pressure from 1 bar to 2 bar. So now the volume is also going to reduce from initial state when it was 1 dm cube, it will now become 0.5 dm cube. The temperature will be maintained same, that is it will be at 300 Kelvin only. So basically you will see in the final state the properties are now taking the subscript 2 because their values are changing. So pressure becomes P2, volume becomes V2, temperature becomes T2, and the number of moles of gas is going to remain the same. So can you say change in the state functions bring about change in the state of the system? So we saw when we changed the value of pressure, the volume was changed, right? So the initial state got converted into the final state when you changed the values of the state function. So here pressure, volume, temperature, they are nothing but the state functions. So when you are changing the values of state functions, the state of the system is going to change from initial state to final state. So how are you going to define state function? State function is the property which depends on the state of the system and not the path followed to attain it. So as we saw the previous example, the pressure, volume, temperature, they all were the state functions. So they changed from P1 to P2, T1 to T2, V1 to V2. So we are just concerned with P1 and P2, T1 and T2. We are not concerned with the path followed. That is what changes occurred when the final state was reached. This example is just for your understanding. If I give you a project, so today I am giving you a project, so that is going to be the starting point. After some days I am going to tell you are supposed to submit the project, so that is going to be your final state. So I will be just concerned with the topic and the project that you are going to give me. I am not concerned with what problems you faced while doing that project. How did you carry out the project? I am just dealing with the topic and the completion of project. So this is what is state function. Now let us study path function. These are the properties which depend upon the path followed. The example is work and heat. So here you need to know how the work was actually done or how the heat was released or absorbed. So now for path function, if I am giving you the project, now I will be concerned how you are carrying out the project, whether you are carrying it out in the steps that I have given, are you facing any problems, etc. So keep in mind one thing, state functions, they do not depend upon the path followed, whereas path functions depend on the path followed. Next we are going to study about the processes and its types. Basically there are 5 types of processes that you need to know. Isothermal process, isochoric process, isobaric process, adiabatic process and reversible process. Now we shall study one by one in detail. First is the isothermal process. In this process, the temperature of the system remains constant throughout the transformation, means the temperature is not going to change. Hence, for a isothermal process, the heat will move from the system to the surrounding and also from the surrounding to the system, and because of this the temperature will remain constant. So always keep in mind the change in internal energy, that is delta U, is going to be equal to 0. Also change in temperature, that is delta T, is equal to 0. Internal energy is the energy associated with the random motion of molecules in a particular system. Next is the isobaric process. In isobaric process, the pressure remains constant during the transformation. Example of an isobaric process would be the practicals which are carried out in the laboratory. We perform the experiments in open container or beakers at constant atmospheric pressure. That is why for isobaric process, delta P, that is change in pressure, is equal to 0. The third process is isochoric process. It is a process in which volume of the system remains constant during the transformation. Example of an isochoric process would be carrying out a chemical reaction in a closed container. So if you are carrying out a chemical reaction in a closed container, means the matter won't be able to escape into the surrounding, and hence there won't be any change in the volume. That is why for an isochoric process, delta V, that is change in volume, is equal to 0. Next is the adiabatic process. It is a process in which there is no exchange of heat between system and surrounding. A good example of adiabatic process is the thermoflask. We know that heat cannot move from inside to outside or from the surrounding to the system, and that is why the solution which is present inside the bottle remains hot for a longer period of time. Or in other words, you can say that the system is completely insulated from the surrounding. Hence for adiabatic process, Q is equal to 0. Heat is represented by the capital letter Q. Last process is the reversible process. We are going to take a gas which is enclosed with a movable piston in a cylinder. So this part here, this is the piston. Now this piston can move in upward and downward position, keep in mind. Now we are taking the external pressure as PEX and the pressure of the gas as P. The condition that you need to keep in mind is the external pressure and the pressure of gas is equal. So if external pressure is put on this piston, then at the same time this gas is also going to apply pressure on the piston. So the gas is neither going to expand or contract, or in other words you can say this piston here is not going to move upward or in downward position or direction, and that is why you can say that the system is in mechanical equilibrium with the surrounding. Again we are considering the same situation where we have a gas which is enclosed in a cylinder along with a movable piston. Now the situation is the external pressure, that is, you can write it as PEX or you can even write it as PEXT, better to understand that it is the external pressure. So now this external pressure that you are going to apply on the piston, you are going to reduce it by a very small amount, and we know the pressure of gas is P. So if the external pressure is reduced by a very small amount, then what will happen? The pressure applied by the gas on the piston is going to be more, and that is why the gas is now going to expand, and if it is going to expand, then it is going to push this piston in an upward position. The other situation is the external pressure that we are going to take is, you are going to take it more as compared to the pressure of the gas. Okay, so what is the situation? Your external pressure is more when you compare it with the pressure of the gas. So if your external pressure is more, then what is going to happen to the gas? The piston is going to apply pressure on the gas, and because of that the gas is going to contract, and this piston will now move in the downward position. We observed that for a system to be in mechanical equilibrium with its surrounding, the external pressure and the pressure of gas needs to be equal or same. But if the external pressure is reduced or increased infinitesimally, that is by a very small amount, then it could cause the reverse of the process, and that is when you say thermodynamically reversible. What do I mean by that? When both the pressures were equal, the piston did not move, But when you brought a small amount of change in the external pressure, you saw the piston either move upwards or downwards, which caused the reverse of the process, which means the stability or equilibrium was not achieved. So how are you going to define a reversible process? Reversible process is the process in which the driving force due to pressure P is infinitesimally greater than the opposing force due to external pressure, and which can be reversed by a slight change of opposing force, which means that if your external pressure is more, then the piston will go down, causing the gas to contract, and if the pressure of gas is more and the external pressure is less, then the gas is going to expand, pushing the piston in upward direction. What are the features of a reversible process? The first feature is the driving and the opposing forces differ by an infinitesimal amount. Infinitesimal means by a very small amount. Now, what is the meaning of driving and the opposing force? Driving force means the force that is used to start a particular reaction, and the opposing force is going to work against that driving force. The second feature is the process can be reversed by an infinitesimal changes in condition, which means the changes that we brought about in the external pressure and the pressure of gas. The third feature is a reversible process proceeds infinitely slowly and takes place in infinite number of steps. Infinitely slowly means it is going to proceed very slow, and a reversible process takes place in infinite number. Infinite number means a lot number of steps. The last feature of reversible process is at the end of every step of the process, the system attains mechanical equilibrium with the surrounding. So that means the external pressure becomes equal to the pressure of the gas. So the piston is not going to move in upward or downward direction. It is going to remain stable. Hence mechanical equilibrium will be achieved.